Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Top Rope TV. I hope you guys all had a very Merry Christmas and a happy holiday season. But now, as we go into the new year, I'd like to just sit back here and reflect upon some of the amazing memories that we had this year on Top Rope TV. So, without further ado, let's get started with Rick Smooth doing an interview with CCW Tag Team, The Pony Express.
And I'm here with the Pony Express, and I gotta ask you guys both, how does it feel to be CCW Tag Champions? Brother, we are not only the CCW Tag Team Champions, we are the CCW Southern Tag Team Champions, we are also the Valor Pro Wrestling Tag Team Champions, and we are the soon-to-be Stellar Tag Team Champions. Yes. Brother, this is what we do. We win gold. We carry around 10, 20, 30 pounds of gold at one time. Now, listen. This is an open challenge to any decent tag team out there. Any decent tag team that feels as though they can come and test the best, feel free to put your name on the dotted line. Now, this just isn't for any run-of-the-mill tag team. This is for only ones that are built to last. You see, you can't just wrestle us once. You can't wrestle us twice. Not 3 times, but soon to be 4 times you're going to have to wrestle us. We only defend one title at a time, baby, because we only won one title at a time. This is the wrestling business, baby. That means we do business. So sign that name on the dotted line and the Pony Express will do what we do best. Win. Kick some ass. Let's do it. Sexy boy. You heard it from me, Rick Smooth. This is the Pony Express, CCW Tag Champions.
Wow, that was a great interview, and the Pony Express is definitely going places within pro wrestling. But let's get right to another interview we had this past year with Marvelous Mike Dalton interviewing the wrestler of the Millennium, Louis G. Rich. So let's get right to that one.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Top Rope TV's segment called The Shoot. I'm your host, Marvelous Mike Dalton. You good? I'm good. Thank you. The wrestler of the decade.
Millennium.
I'm sorry, the Millennium. I got a little excited. Wrestler of the Millennium, Louis G. Rich.
How you doing?
Good, man.
You buddy?
Good to see you. Tonight, you can say whatever you want, whatever on your mind. Shoot from the hip, it's uncensored, burn the carpet down, break down the house, I don't care. Say what's on your mind.
Say what's on my mind. Well, first I want to say, wish we did this when I was a little, less battle tested. I'm a little messed up, little dirty, little grungy, but it's okay. Louis G. Rich, your wrestler of the Millennium, still looks amazing, still looks great, as always. So, to shoot from the hip, you want me to talk from the heart?
Whatever you
Actually,
want.
I've had something I've been wanting to get off my chest for a long time now. I've been in this business 12 years. As I look around, a lot of things keep changing. When I walk in the locker rooms, you got these old vets that's been in the business for 20 years, and they look at me like the kid that can't hang. They look at me like the kid who doesn't know what he's talking about. 12 years in this business, over a decade doing what I do, lacing up these boots. Then you got these young kids who just broke in, fresh out of the backyard, looking at me like they want to prove a point against Louis G. Rich. Well, I just want to say, for everyone watching, whether you're one of the old timers or one of these new school guys, I'm at the top of my game. I'm at my prime. I'm a certified champion in every locker room that I walk into. I'm the biggest name on the marquee. I'm Louis G. Rich, the wrestler of the Millennium. So if you're thinking that I can't hang, if you're thinking that I don't know what I'm doing in that ring, come try and test the wrestler of the Millennium. If you're some young kid, think you want to prove a point, think you want to make an example out of Louis G. Rich, go ahead and step in the wrestler of the Millennium's ring. Step in, put me to the test, try your best. Because at the end of the night, when that bell rings, everyone in the crowd, everyone, no matter what town we're in, we're gonna know one thing. And my name's Louis G. Rich, and I am the wrestler of the Millennium.
Well, folks, you heard it here. Wrestler of the Millennium, Louis G. Rich. I'm your host, Marvelous Mike Dalton. Thank you for tuning in to The Shoot.
Wow, that was another good interview with Marvelous Mike Dalton and Louis G. Rich. Now, more recently, I did a Fence Man exclusive interview with the Blue Meanie. So let's relive that right now. Wrestling icon, the Blue Meanie. Now, can you tell us, the fans of pro wrestling, how you got into the wrestling business?
I was fortunate enough when I was 20 years old to train with Al Snow in Lima, Ohio. Drove out there and he helped me live the dream.
Awesome, man. Now, do you have any memorable matches at all, or any memories or inspirations of anybody else that you grew up watching in the wrestling business?
I mean, working every night with the FBI and ECW was a dream come true because it was a learning experience with Tracy Smothers, who's like an unsung hero in ECW. But yeah, working with the FBI every night was amazing.
Okay. Now, being back here in the ECW arena probably brings back some amazing memories too. Now, like, is there anybody that you want to shoot on, or anything at all in wrestling today, like you want to shoot about?
Nah, man, the business is strong as ever. The independent scene is as hot as ever. Everybody's doing good, so I'm happy. You know, the business is good. Everybody's doing good. So, back, the indies used to go the way, if WWE was good, then the indies were good, but the indies are thriving on their own, so I'm happy. The independent wrestling's doing great.
Awesome. Now, can you tell us different promotions you worked for in the past?
Of course, WWE, ECW, and just various independents around the world. I go to England, I go wherever they'll have me.
All right. Now, like, what advice would you give to somebody that's just getting into the wrestling business, or just looking to train, or just wants to try to make a name for themselves in the business?
Just find the right place to train with. Over in New Jersey, there's a very reputable school called the Monster Factory. A bunch of our students over there are either in WWE or Ring of Honor. So go to monsterfactory.org and learn all about it.
Awesome, man. Now, what have you been doing with yourself lately these days anyway?
Just trying to stay out of trouble, try to stay busy, try to stay sane, do conventions like this, do independent shows, just having fun. I like these shows because they're like high school reunions, so.
Okay, cool, man. Thank you for doing this interview, and this has been another Fence Man exclusive. And who could forget the episode where we heard the wrestling story of DC Laurie, Dan Lauria himself. So let's get to that.
Back in the day, it was a little different than the way they do things now. And again, I don't want to say my way was better, but you don't. Back in my day, you just didn't figure out how to take a bump in 3 months or you had a match. I didn't get a chance to actually go into the ring. I trained for a year, okay, and I trained for a year to get everything right and everything perfect, because in professional wrestling you don't get a second chance. And the reason why we trained for that long is, A, you didn't want to hurt yourself, hurt your opponent. You didn't want to look bad for the company, because whoever trained you or whoever booked or promoted you, you were expected to be professional, which means give a good match. Now, that being said, I trained with the original wrestling fundraisers, as I think I was going by, there was no South Philly Fury part then, it was Freebird DC Laurie, and I was a tag team specialist and a high flyer, 5'8", 222, the most I've ever been in my life. I did not think I was going to get over trying to beat and stomp on somebody. I just didn't think it was going to work. So I was the guy who tagged off to somebody, and we did the double team maneuvers. Jason Python's Weiss was my partner, and he was a little bit bigger and a little bit stronger and a little bit younger. And so I was sort of like the faster one, and even though he was younger, but he was sort of like the stronger one of the two, which something they did stuff like that back then. And now, mind you, paying my dues, doing everything I needed to do, inside and outside the ring, training for a year as a tag team specialist, as a baby face, which is the good guy, as a high flyer, which means coming off the top of the ropes, and you do things differently when you're the fan favorite versus the fan not so favorite. First match in Philadelphia, my debut. Get to the show or the event, go into the locker room. Stan Lavdis tells me I'm going to be the heel. I'm going to be the bad guy. I lost it. Okay? Because I'm like, wait, I've been training for a year in order to be the good guy in a special tag team, specialty match. Who am I fighting? It's a Japanese match. You're fighting your tag team partner. What? Okay, and who's the face and who's the heel? You're the heel. I'm the heel. I'm 5'8". I think when I first started, I was like all of 145 pounds. I'm been doing this for a year for this type of match. I'm supposed to be the good guy. You're making me the bad guy. I'm supposed to be in a tag team. You're making me fight my partner in a singles match. And you want me to try to get over that I'm the bad guy? 5'8"? Are you kidding me? How is this supposed to work? No one's going to believe me. It'll work. Trust me. I've been doing this for a long time. I was in the show. You can do this. Yeah, it's not going to happen. Well, being from South Philly and being Italian and having a little bit of temper, I was hot, okay? But you're supposed to respect your trainer. You're supposed to respect your booker. You're supposed to respect your promoter. The guy was in the show. Okay, so I go out there. I'm hot. I don't know how I'm supposed to pull this off. I'm questioning everything about this match, okay? Luckily, I'm at least working my partner, so that, we train together. And if you train together with somebody, at least you know what they're going to do somewhere or another. Frank Talent, God rest his soul, is the deputy commissioner of Pennsylvania. Irish, I'm assuming, okay? Looks at my name. I'm waiting the curtain to come out. And now, introducing for the first time, the Freebird, DC Laurie! Which is all well and good, except that I didn't go by that name yet. I was still the Freebird DC Lauria, which is how you actually say my name. And he just completely screwed it up. So now, I'm in a singles match against my partner, first time out, and he just screwed up my name. Are you kidding me? This guy's the commissioner, okay? I didn't even care. I was so mad at that point. I was ready to kill somebody, okay? Instead of going straight to the ring, I go straight to him, grab the microphone from him, and say, "It's Freebird DC Laurie, Now, Lauria, I even screwed up my own thing. It's Freebird DC Lauria, you Metagon! Throw the mic at him. I figure I'm already fired, so go out and actually pull off this match with me being the singles as a heel, because I was so mad at that point. There was no gimmick involved. So I was ready to kill somebody. Luckily, I liked my partner, then I didn't want to kill him. So when I get back into the locker room and I look at Stan and I'm like, what were you thinking? No disrespect. Are you kidding me? How did you ever expect me to pull that off? And he's like, DC, you did. True story. All right, so working with women wrestlers. It's funny because, actually I'm going to lead up to the story before I actually tell the story. When Duchess and I came back to WWF Loco again, because we took breaks between wrestling and soccer, I came back with the understanding that Duchess and I were only going to be on the other side of the camera, not the one that I'm looking at you at, the other side. And because, I was done, I didn't want to get my ego involved, I didn't want to go all fury on somebody, I just wanted to have a nice day, do the show. When I came back, I was doing the live video editing, so I was the technical director. And then if I had to, Dutch would take over. And unfortunately, what happens, I mean, you can plan it all you want, but sometimes it doesn't quite always work out the way you want it to. There was a fan, I mentioned in another interview, his name was Tim Kilroy. And he may or may not have been in the business before. I don't know. I was in Pennsylvania. He was in Jersey, so I have no idea. I try to take people at their word as much as I possibly can. But at this point, he was more of a plant than a former worker. Basically, there's certain people that come to shows that, you know, they're smart marks or they're Uber fans or whatever, and you kind of, you know, let them have front row or whatever, because they know, you know, that they're either going to cheer or boo enthusiastically for your people, okay? So I'm in the back, okay, and I'm setting up the Triple F match with Triple F. Actually wasn't even their name. Their name was Femme Fatale Furies, okay, but Tim and Dave Spieler used to make signs, and the signs used to say Triple F, Triple F, Triple F. So somehow or another, the chant became part of their name. And, you know, I mean, Triple F, it was Chrissy Johnson, Simply Divine, Vampirist Magdalena, what was it, Holly Hottie?
No, sure, Holly Hottie.
What was she? She was, it'll come to me. Little Bits.
Alex Starr.
Alex Starr. And it was the person I'm talking to right now, Duchess Christine Laurie. And so there was 5 of them. And what we did is we had a singles title and we had a tag team title. So, you know, we would have one girl defend one, 2 of the girls defend the other, and then a lot of times Alex and Duchess would, you know, come out with a video camera or a still camera so we could get, like, live action, like, right on top. And Tim starts harassing, I don't remember if it was Vampirist or Empress, but I think he got what I'm about to say more than once. But he got, like, all into their face, like this close, okay? And when you're a woman worker, you really don't want anybody this close, you know? So they didn't know him from Adam. It didn't occur to me to warn them about him. But Tim likes to get into it, and he likes to get into it hot and heavy, that you're not really sure if he's going to stay on this side of the guardrails or come on the other side. So he's all into, again, the Fury's faces. And the one thing you have to understand about Femme Fatale Fury is they lived their gimmick. They didn't take anything from anybody. And they didn't care if you were 7 foot tall, heavyweight champion, or a little old lady. Not that they ever hit a little old lady. But so Tim's kind of big boy. I mean, he's like over 6 foot tall, well over 300 or 400 pounds. Okay, and they weren't backing down. So when he got in there, again, I don't remember which one it was because I think it happened more than once. But he got in one of the Fury's faces, and the Fury got him out of their face by smacking him so hard. Now, mind you, I'm in the back. I'm watching this on monitors, okay? But even with a wall separating us, I could hear the crack, okay, from the other side of the window. And you saw on the monitor, one of our camera Furies had a perfect shot of it. You saw his face go, and I'm like, oh my God, didn't anybody tell them not to touch the plants? So, if you're an insider, that story makes a little bit more sense. But let me put it to you this way. There's a certain unwritten rule in the business that the fans aren't supposed to touch the wrestlers. It works both ways. The wrestlers aren't really supposed to touch the fans, okay? But when you're a woman wrestler and you're not quite sure whether or not you're about to be touched first, and you're a member of Femme Fatale Fury, you're not going to wait. So he got cracked. Unfortunately, he didn't learn his lesson because it happened again. To the point where after one show, I had to take all 5 girls in the locker room off to themselves, you know, and say, can you stop hitting the fans, please? Because we don't need that. Well, if, you know, somebody gets in my face, okay, I understand that, but, like, we're going to run out of fans if you keep on, like, sending them to the hospital. It's, you know, it's not good. So that's one of my favorite stories, but actually, at the same time, one of the scariest ones, because, you know, from their point of view, I understood where it was coming from. You don't want somebody touching you, okay? But at the same time, you know, we have security. I was not that far away that I couldn't jump in if I had to. Just as a general rule, fans, you know, let's make this a PSA movement, okay? Fans, don't touch the wrestlers, and wrestlers, don't touch the fans, even if you're a member of Triple F Femme Fatale Fury. And there's your PSA. What is it called? The more you know? There you go. The more you know. Go. Actually, ironically, the story that Duchess thought I was about to tell, I will tell now because this is a good story too. We mentioned earlier about one of the first shows we did. The last show that we did for Diamond Dolls Wrestling, Double DW for DWF Loco. It was a gauntlet, okay? Because we started with, I don't remember how many girls at the very beginning, but with the Diamond Dolls Wrestling, there was no give with these girls, okay? We had Triple F, Femme Fatale Fury, we had Triple L, which I don't remember what the L stood for.
Latin Lolitas?
Latin Lace Lolitas, thank you. Okay, and one of the things about Pensacola, New Jersey is that they were just like Philly fans. They wanted you to leave it in the ring, and our girls left it in the ring. Left it in the ring to the point where by the time we did our final match of the year, which I don't think we did a December one, so it would have been in November. I don't know why, okay, but somebody thought it would be a good idea to do it outside. It was freezing in Pensacola, New Jersey in the middle of November, and we're doing a live show, and I think it was our Hall of Fame show. We inducted a bunch of really famous people that Doc knew from WWE. And like always, you know, the women's match was somewhere like right before intermission or right after intermission because they were one of our draws. And we were down to 8 girls, okay? From a roster where we had an entire federation, we dwindled down to we could only usually do one match for DWF Loco because we went from however many we had, like 20s or 30s, whatever we started with in January, February, to like 8 girls, okay? And thank God we had a break, a holiday break coming up for December and January, which is, if you're going to take a break, that's usually when you do it. Because by the time that match was over, I'm pretty sure it was a tag team match. It was probably Chrissy Johnson, the Princess, and Vampiress Magdalena on the Triple F side. And I want to guess maybe Desiree, Clash, and Athena Cage was the manager. So it would have been Jackie Daniels as the other wrestler in ring. Okay. And we had Duchess running the camera around the area, and we had God, what was her name? Shadow? Psycho Shadow or something like that. And so there's 2 girls in the ring, 2 managers. Alex Starr was probably the manager for Triple F, and then we had 2 more people out there. So what was left of our roster, basically, from the Diamond Dolls Wrestling, those girls, when I say to you that they gave 100%. And I'm not even exaggerating this a little bit. It was cold. It was freezing out there, okay? The fans were wearing heavy jackets. These girls are coming out in their wrestling gimmicks that are meant to be inside. And they were chopping and they were just hurting each other, okay? Because you fight the same set of girls for over a year, almost a year, and there's only 8 of you left out of 20 or 30, however many it was. There's a bit of a feud going on. It's from Money Chocolate Marbles, okay? No exaggeration on this. By the time that match was over, they were black, they were blue, they were bloodied, to the point where, as a technical director, you have to stay and you have to... I'm doing a live video edit of every match, and there was a match right after that one, but I'm also the one in charge of that match, okay? So I'm getting ready to edit my next match, and Duchess comes up to me and says, DC, you need to go in the back now. I'm like, there's another match here, you know? And she's like, no, you don't understand. Stop your job as technical director, TD, and put on your EMS emergency, services hat, because all of the girls in the back are hurt. Like, hurt? How bad hurt? All of the girls are either limping, holding an arm, holding an eye, holding their head, bleeding. You need to get back there. When I tell you this was not an exaggeration, I'm not kidding. I went back there, and except for Duchess and except for Shadow, who they had their own medical things already going on, so we said, you two are not to be touched. The other 6 girls were limping. By the time I got back there, one's arm wasn't holding right, one already wasn't walking right, another one was holding an ice pack on her eye or her head. There was not one person who wasn't pink, red, black, or blue. I'm like, oh my God. Now, I've been doing this, now as we speak, it's been 25 plus glorious years, and this wasn't that many years ago. So I've seen a lot, okay? But I've never seen every single person in a match hurt like that, because they knew it was their last match of the season. They knew it was the end of the build-up for everything that had been going on with those 2 stables and factions, and they left it on. They left it in the ring, and I think there's still bits and pieces of blood and skin and everything left in the ring. I'm not even kidding. So if you've ever seen that PSA that says, what does it mean to hit like a girl? They could do their own PSA on what it means to hit like a girl. I would challenge any guy to have been involved in that match and not be left almost in the same condition, if not worse. Those girls left it in there. And when I tell you my EMS training, Doc's EMS training, Pee-wee's EMS training, well, I think they're EMTs actually, okay? When we were sitting, it looked like MASH, the old 1970s, we were in triage, okay? By the time we were finished, everybody was bandaged. It was, wow. Let me tell you why I'm so excited to work with the girls from Glow. Glow, gorgeous ladies of wrestling. They came out, they were the first all-women's wrestling federation, I believe in the United States, if not the world, and they had their own TV show. It was mid-1980s to the early 90s, and it was right before I got into the business myself. The first time I saw them, I'm like, what is this? What's going on? And it was, at the time, and today still, one of the coolest things I thought I'd ever seen. Because when you watch professional wrestling, it still, and I hate to say it, but it's true, still even to this day, it's mostly a man's sport, okay? They were pioneers. They were trailblazers. Because if you watched Saturday morning, WWF, whatever they were called by then, okay? If you were lucky if you got a girls match. Okay, and Moolah was cool, but like, I think by that time Moolah had maybe worked Wendy Richter, but it was still a specialty. Okay, you didn't get to see girls' matches as a regular part of the rotation every week. Okay, and now here's an entire fed of nothing but girl wrestlers, and and they were trained properly. They were trained by Mondo Guerrero, the first 2 seasons. And if anybody knows anything about professional wrestling, the Guerrero family. And he taught them, how to work, how to do a proper match. So, they paid their dues. They took their bumps. They ran their ropes. When you watch one of their matches, regardless of the raps that they did and the little songs that they did, the little comic books, which I actually liked all that stuff. I thought it was pretty cool. When they got in the ring, everything was taken seriously. Okay? And to this day, again, I don't think I've ever seen anybody do a rap since. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody sing since. But the work they put into the matches themselves, if you talk to anybody from Triple FM Fatal Fury, if you talk to anybody that it's been on Top Rope Radio, Top Rope TV, Triple F Magazine, Internet Magazine, when I mention Glow, because it's one of the projects that we're working on right now, when I talk about the girls from Glow, oh my God, they were my role models. You remember them? Oh my God. Yeah. Now, again, some of the girls weren't even born, but they made such an impact on the lives of the women wrestlers that are in the business right now. And it doesn't matter if the girls are in their 20s or 30s or even 40s. Every single woman that I've ever mentioned Glow to will sit there and say they were one of the reasons why they got into the business. Okay? Because a little girl watching TV, watching wrestling, now got to see a grown woman doing the same things that a guy could do, doing it as good as any of the guys were doing, okay? But they also did their little songs and their little raps and their little comedy skits. And I laugh because I still think they're pretty funny. Some people said, well, there was no place for that, but they were doing their own thing. So who's to say if there was a place for it or not? If you're doing your own thing, you make your own rules. And most of those matches, if you go back and watch, regardless of whether you like the other stuff or not, if you actually watch the matches, those matches still hold up today. So one of the reasons why, if that's not enough of a reason, I'm so excited to be working with the Glow Girls is that Duchess and I have talked to them. They are such cool women. Okay, this is something that happened 30 years ago. This is their 30th anniversary. They have plenty of time to get big heads, or plenty of time to go, wow, wow, boo-hoo, nobody remembers me. And they are nothing like that. Every single woman that I've talked to from Glow so far, they're down to earth. They love their fans. They love reminiscing with their fans. They still think that they can give something to the business, and I agree with them. They want to help, teach the next generation, okay? And I'm very excited to say that Duchess and I have been talking to a lot of the girls from Glow, and we're rebooting Triple F, and actually this is going to be the announcement in front of everybody. We're thinking of calling our new project Afterglow Furies. The name is in honor of Roxy Astor. Started something called the Afterglow Fan Party with the idea of, this is who we are, this is who we were, this is what we're still doing. We still have a lot of fans. We want to get to see you. We want to get to know you. Let's do this. So I asked her permission if we could actually do our interview segments and call them Afterglow. She was very nice to say yes. We've had Sunny on, we've had Roxy on, we've had Gremlina. We were supposed to have Queenie on, but she took ill, so we're going to reschedule that. And we already have other girls that want to come on after Glow. And we're rebooting Triple F at the same time. And I said, would it be okay with you girls if Duchess and I took the girls from Glow that are working with us now in Afterglow and took the girls from Triple F, and that interview segment was called Fistful of Fury after Triple F, and combined it and see if we can't come up with, I don't know, a talk show, a documentary, some kind of radio, TV, internet interview thing like we've been doing, maybe even at some point live events, whatever you want to do with it, okay? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if we're recreating this, the sky's the limit. You know, the girls from Glow and from the Furies can, whatever they want. I'm in, okay? But why don't we call the project Afterglow Furies in honor of the girls from Glow, which were part of the first all-women's wrestling fed, and the girls from Triple F that will go, their history dates back 30 years also, not as Triple F, but as part of Wrestling Fundraisers, the first all charity. And we'll call it Afterglow Furies, with the idea being that from the Glow girls, you're getting that experience, you're getting that tradition, and if you've ever seen a Triple F match, you know that you're getting that attitude and that edge, okay? And put it together. So 1980s meets 20 teens, whatever we call where we're in now, and best of both worlds. So you get to see the old Glows girls again. They're going to be coming out. They're going to be doing interviews. Hopefully they're going to be managing. I'm not going to say valet because I might get hit. But giving back, still being part of the business in a very active way, eventually, and hopefully not for a very long time, but eventually passing the torch to the next generation. And part of that being, you get to see the girls from Glow, you get to see the girls from Triple F, and you get to see the brand new project called Afterglow Furies. I, for one, am looking forward to it because I think it's going to be very cool. One of the coolest things about wrestling is what I've been able to give back, or as I like to call it, pay it forward. One of the most enjoyable parts of my job when I was an in-ring wrestler was when I used to do charity events for kids with special needs. Because kids with special needs see you go into that ring and they don't care. They never cared that I was only 5'8". They looked at me and they treated me like I was 6'8". They treated me like I was Hulk Hogan. Once you get out there, once you leave that locker room area and you hit that curtain, it's on, okay? And those kids, those special needs kids, absolutely love you. And they love to be a part of it, and they're happy that you're there, and they're happy that you're part of their lives, and they let you know that. And I always got the biggest smile on my face when we were doing the charity shows for wrestling fundraisers or anybody else for that matter, because the kids loved you, and they let you know that they loved you, and they let you know that right there for that particular moment, you were the most important thing in their world, okay? And, I was saying earlier, in order to be a wrestler, you have to have even a little bit of an ego, because, let's face it, I forget who, but somebody said you're going out there in your underwear in front of like tens of thousands of people. For me, it was probably more like tens of hundreds, but it's still the same thing. And, so you're there. It's what we call, it's your spotlight. You're the center of attention. You're getting all the pop. You're getting all the cheers. But at the same time, it's not all about you, because it's a charity show and you're trying to make their lives more interesting and their lives more enriched. So at the same time, it's about you. It's about them. Okay. And, if you've had a good match, and you gave it your all, I always, no matter what I do, I try to give it 100%. It might be the drivel and shits, but it's still, I try to give it 100%. And, so once you're finished your match and you go back in the locker room and you start, cleaning up and putting your clothes back on, I always used to walk out of every single charity show knowing that I did everything I could to put a smile on that kid's face. I left it out in the ring, and I gave a little back to my community, and I paid it a little forward for everybody that came before me, hopefully role modeled for everybody that's going to come after me. And I mean, what else can I say? That's the coolest feeling in the world.
Go.
One of the coolest moments that I had, my son has MD, so as a father, you always, no matter what you do for a living, hope that your son's going to follow in your footsteps. Because of his MD, obviously couldn't. But when he was younger, we got into something called Challenger Softball. And I never heard of it, but it thinks Special Olympics, but the difference being you can actually go out there and help him, hand over hand and hold that bat, okay, and help him run the bases. And I was like, wow, this would be really cool if we did something like this in America's Wrestling Fundraisers, which was our all charity shows. And I thought, why don't we do something like, a challenger title, okay? We'll call Danny, we'll give him my gimmick name, Freebird DC Laurie the third. We won't do the South Philly Fury part because he always has a smile on his face. And we'll make him the AWFR featherweight champion, okay? And what we'll do is we'll bring him out in his wheelchair. We'll take him out to the ring. We'll take him out. We'll bring him into the ring, okay? And we'll explain what it is that we're doing. And we'll have one of our guys from Philly Fury, and eventually, actually, we did it with the Triple F Femme Fatale Fury too. We'll have one of the guys defend Danny's title for Danny, okay? And it was one of those things where, especially when I'm coming up with an idea, I never know if it's going to be a good idea or a really bad idea, because you never know if you're going to offend, anybody in the locker room, or if you're going to offend somebody in the audience who has a special needs kids. Why are you making a mockery of this? But I just felt like, besides doing the fundraiser, we could also do a little bit of awareness, okay? And I felt like if we could tell people about Special Olympics or charities, Challenger Softball through this, this match, maybe somebody will have learned something they didn't know and be able to let their kids, do something they would never have been able to do before. So we did it. It was at EAW Reborn. It was a July show, so it was like really hot. And Danny shows up, and we bring him out to the ring, and we brought the guys from the original Philly Fury to bring him out. I was already out there, and I don't think the current Philly Fury had the tag team championships yet, so we were concentrating mainly on the challenger belt, which we had for him. And in fact, we brought it out, so it was on his chair as we rolled him out. And we rolled him out. We brought him into the ring. I held him and the belt, or the mic, or I don't know how I did all three at the same time, but I think somebody was helping me. And we told the story. And by the time I was finished telling the story, and I didn't know this at the time, I was told later by Matt Tremont, really cool guy, class act. And in fact, he has his own Fed now. By the time I was finished telling the story, there was not a dry eye in the house. So we got our message across. Okay? That was the good news. The bad news was the kid who was supposed to come out and challenge Danny for the belt was a student of Outpatient Scotty Ice, one of the guys in the current version of Philly Fury. And after I had finished telling the story and he came out to challenge my son, he couldn't talk because he was so taken by what we had to say that he didn't want to insult my son. And let me tell you something. It went from being a very good moment to a very awkward moment pretty quickly. But somehow or another, we got through it, and we did the match. And I know when we were at DWF Loco, we did the same thing. A young lady named G-Bear had lost her leg in a car accident. She was walking, but some woman decided to hit her anyway. And we did a charity fundraiser for her, and when she was well enough to come back after coming out of the hospital, we explained my son, we explained what we did for G-Bear, and then we had two girls who were trying out for Femme Fatale Fury do a singles match, and we had Ada Marie, the Psycho Siren, versus Desiree Clash. Ada was almost as nervous as this kid who did it with Scotty Ice a couple of years before that, because you could actually see her shaking because she did not want to put on a bad match, for my son and for G-Bear. But God bless both of them. They did absolutely excellent job. And in fact, they did such a good job that, we said, look, this is your tryout for our company. And they were like, oh, but they did such a good job that Ada stayed with us for a while, was our WDW champion. And then after a while, she left, and Desiree became our DW, how do we say it? Double DW champion, Diamond Dolls Wrestling. So, all in all, pretty good. Not a tear in the house, not a dry eye in the house for one match, and then we wound up with two different women's champions from the other match. So, we got our point across. We got people aware of the fact that kids like my son and other people's kids do not have to just sit in a wheelchair all the time and do absolutely nothing. You still have a life of some kind. And we wound up with some really good talent, from the wrestling side because of it. So all things considered, I'd say not a bad day.
Go.
Okay. That, I think everybody that I've ever talked to from the interview side has the same story. I remember when I was a kid, because anybody who's ever made it in this business, it's the same story. When I was a kid, I remember waking up on Saturday morning and turning on the TV, and they used to do a house show at, I want to say 48th and Walnut, and it was TV taped, and it was all of the guys that were on the main roster. Obviously, I didn't know this at the time I was a kid. It was all the guys on the main roster of WWF, that's how old I am, and they would bring in the local guys from the local territories. And I remember at one point or another, I don't remember when I started doing this, but I would start making a list of all of the guys from Philadelphia or Pennsylvania area. Like, I remember Dominic DeNucci being from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I remember eventually finding out that Johnny Valiant was from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I remember, and actually met Johnny after a while. And I remember AJ Petruzzi, Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania, I think they said he was from. And I remember once I became a worker meeting him. But I made a list of all of these guys from Philadelphia or Pennsylvania, and I'd be like, oh my God, he's just from, I know that neighborhood, This was, again, I was a kid, this was way before ECW, okay? And thinking, I would love to be that guy, oh my God, he's from the neighborhood, or he's from here, I know that, that town. And I would be like, I would love to do this someday, love. And I was always the kid who, I don't care how bad or how good the guy was, I always rooted for the good guy, okay? And I would be like, oh, come on, get up, you can, I remember Chief J. Strongbow, okay, for those people who remember who he is, used to take a pounding, and he had a really hot temper too. I found out later he was Italian, so I'm like, oh, that's where that came from, and he would be winning, and then the guy would be cheating, and then he would get pissed off, and then he would lose focus, and then he would take a pounding, but then he would not really hulk up, but kind of like that, he would Chief J. Strongbow up, and he would start, going like this, and then he would start doing his war dance, which I'm not even going to try to do, okay, and then he would, Strongbow up, I'm going to call it that, I don't know what they called it. And then, he'd do his war dance, and he would start coming back, and he would start, chopping on the guy, like, in the front, and yeah, I guess chopping this way. I don't know what's that called now. On the back, and I was like, yeah, go. But the thing that put it over for me is, again, I don't know how much you guys remember about this stuff. I'm going back, okay? The Valiant brothers were the tag team champions. And if I remember correctly, and I don't remember if it was Jimmy or Johnny, one of them got hurt, and they were defending their title, and the decision made was, even though we want to keep on going with this, so they brought in Jerry Valiant. And I'm like, wait, there's 3 of them? And the thing that I loved about that was that I'm the oldest of 3 brothers, okay? And I was like, oh my God, there's 3 of them. They're brothers. This is so cool. And I think it was the first time I didn't care that they were the bad guys because they were brothers and there was 3 of them. And I was like, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I'm going to be like the Valiant brothers, and we're going to go for that tag team title, and I'm going, and we'll, like, 2 of the 3 of us will defend it. And I think by the time the Von Erichs and the Freebirds came around, I don't know how old I was then. I in my 20s, I guess. But it's the first time I'd ever seen a 6-man. And it was the Von Erich brothers, the 3 of them, versus the Freebirds for the 6-man title. And if it was the early to mid 80s, it was only a few years away from me actually getting into the business. And I was like, oh my God, there's a 6-man title now. And NWA had Dusty Rhodes, the Royal Warriors had one too. But I don't remember which one I saw first. I just remember just totally marking out to the fact that there was a 6-man title and the Von Erich brothers were defending it. So I was like, Dwayne David, you're coming in with me. And unfortunately, they never did. But I remember.
Anyways, let's get to our next one, where I did David Arquette. Yo, this is the Fence Man here with the Fence Man exclusive. I'm here with David Arquette. What's up, David?
I'm good. How are you, Fence Man?
Doing pretty good, man. Now, how was your match tonight?
It was good. Bully Ray came up at the end, though. Jacked my back up. Put me through a table, so it was going good, but the Sandman came in and I shared a beer with him, and my partner RJ City turned on me as usual.
Listen, I have pictures to sell. This guy's coming in, he's making this money, he's cashing residual checks. I didn't sell one fucking shit. I had to go into business for myself, you know what I mean? A little bit. I apologize to you before I did it.
Well,
so it's a courtesy. I would love to sell something.
Did you bring any shirts?
I brought a couple. I don't know where they are right now, but I have a couple.
Where are your photos?
Where's your agent? Where's your manager? Where's the big entourage, the David entourage? You're wearing a Ted DiBiase shirt. Is it bootleg? I don't even know. What are these, Keds? I don't know what to do. And then somehow we won. Riddle me that.
We did. We won. We're undefeated as a tag team. You know that, right?
The Dumont Network.
I'm with I'm the Fence Man with Pro Wrestling
You're
Archives,
the Fence Man.
and also
Why,
with
because you're
Top
pale
Rope
and you
TV.
just stand there and you're very wooden.
Kind of like that, yeah. My last name's Fenstermaker. So
the Fence.
anyway, what did you think of when the whole angle when Vince Russo had you win the WCW title?
Well, it was an honor to be a WCW champion, and I'm in the record books. People like RJ are always very jealous, but you can't turn back the clocks of time and the clock of time? I don't know.
Of time.
Yeah.
He's a very eloquent partner. It's so funny. He's the actor, yet I'm the one cutting the promos, too. I'm really propping it up in all corners here.
Okay. Now, anything else you'd like to add? Anything you'd like to shoot on at all?
Nah, Sandman. Fence Man. Sorry, I've still got Sandman on my mind. He helped save me.
Mr.
Okay.
Sandman.
Thanks, man. Now, this is one where I sat down and I interviewed a painter. He paints professional wrestlers. So let's get right to that. This is the Fence Man here. I'm here with, can you introduce yourself?
Joseph Miller.
All right, Joseph. Now, I see you have all kinds of different artwork here that you do. You painted of different wrestlers and everything. I see you got Matt Hardy here, and you got Sting, and then you got, who's this right here? Oh, Seth Rollins, yeah. Yeah, the demon, the Kingslayer, the Architect, Seth Rollins. And then got CM Punk. And who could forget the immortal Hulk Hogan? What you gonna do, brother? And then you got Macho Man Randy Savage. Cool. And you got Edge. Rated R Superstar, by the way. And then, I showed that already. All right. He got a pretty awesome collection here of different, he actually hand painted these himself. So as you can see, he's a very talented artist, and any wrestling fan will be lucky to have some of these fine pieces of art. Now, can you tell the fans what inspires you to do this?
Wrestling.
Awesome.
Being a fan my whole life, and now putting it down on the canvas. Creating anything, any moment, any character, any wrestler that they ever wanted, and your favorites, anybody you want. Any memorable matches, whatever it may be. Because we all remember this match right here. WrestleMania 3.
Oh, yeah, Andre the Giant versus Hulk Hogan. That was an iconic match. I still remember watching that growing up. And now, do you have any favorite matches at all that you watched in the past?
Well, of course, we all do, right? Everybody loves the first TLC. Starcades back in '85. It was great. All of them, there's no bad wrestling these days.
Okay. Now, do you have any favorite pieces that you did right here?
The AJ Styles here took a lot of time and a lot of time. So that is one of my favorite pieces right now.
Cool, man. Now, do you have any contact info or anything on the web in case anybody wants to contact you to buy any pieces?
Of course, iconicart.net. Facebook is Iconic Philly. Just reach out, and I'm there. Everything's hand painted. Never paint the same thing twice, so everybody has an original piece. No prints. One of a kind. That's it. Great for a collector.
Awesome, man. Now, thanks for watching, and this has been a Fence Man exclusive. Okay, folks. Now, this is the #1 memory from Top Rope TV this past year. That's right. This is when I went up to Warriors of Wrestling in Staten Island, New York, and had the honor and the privilege to interview WWE Women's Superstar, WWE Diva, Molly Holly. So without further ado, let's get right to that Fenceman exclusive I did with Molly Holly. Yo, this is the Fenceman here with this week's Top Rope TV Fenceman exclusive. I'm here with Molly Holly.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Okay, now Molly, this is an awesome seminar, by the way, and thank you for coming up here, and thanks to Joey Bellini with Warriors of Wrestling for having her. Now, first off, what was it like working for WCW and the Team Madness angle with Macho Man and Medusa?
Well, it was a great experience for me to go from the indies, working in front of 20 people, to be on Nitro during the hottest time when wrestling, the Monday Night Wars were happening. And so for me, it was awesome to be with the people that I used to watch on television as a child, to be in the ring with them. I mean, it was surreal to actually be a part of that experience. I loved it. It was definitely one of the highlights, just to go from minor leagues to being in the main event.
Very cool. And you've been quoted as saying that your angle in WWE with Spike Dudley has been one of the biggest highlights of your career. What made that so?
Well, to be a part of a storyline that fans can connect with, or to look forward to what's going to happen next, that makes the job so worth it, because it's one thing to have a match where you're responsible for entertaining the fans with that, but when there's a story attached to it, you can draw so much more emotion out of the fans and out of yourself to really put on a good show, and so that's why I love that time with Spike.
Okay. Thank you. Now, when the WWF became WWE, you underwent a huge transformation, not just gimmick, but look as well. What was it brought on by changes in WWE that you began to think it was time for something different?
Well, they just needed a heel, and so they just told me to be a heel, and then they didn't really know what kind. And Ivory was super popular with the right to censor, so I was just kind of like a knockoff version of the Ivory's right to censor type of gimmick as a heel, and it worked for me. It was okay. I mean, I didn't really enjoy being a heel, but the transformation was just because Jazz had hurt her knee, and they needed a heel, and so they just asked me if I would do it, and I did.
Okay. Thank you. And then you've appeared very sporadically for various independent companies and for WWE. But what made you decide to enter into the very first Women's Royal Rumble match?
Well, I got the call from Talent Relations a couple of months before the Rumble, and they just asked me if I wanted to. And I told them I wasn't sure because I didn't want to disappoint the fans. Like, I haven't really done any in-ring stuff for a really long time. I mean, over 10 years. And so I just was worried that I was going to disappoint. And so I was like, I don't know if I should. And they assured me that, I'd be able to practice and that everything would be fine. And so I agreed to do it. And I'm glad I did. It was really fun to catch up with old friends.
Very cool. And now, will you be working any more on-screen events with WWE in the future?
If they offer me a lot of money, the answer is yes. It's possible. I mean, I have no idea if they're calling me back to do stuff, but I'm always flattered when they remember me or ask me to do something. And so if they call me and if it's something I feel like I can pull off, then I'll probably say yes.
Okay. Very cool. And now, what are your thoughts on Beth Phoenix? I know you and her have had a friendship with each other in the indie circuit. Now, would you like to talk about your friendship with Beth Phoenix at all?
Well, I really never worked with Beth full time. Like, she was a fan, and she came and met me at some WWE fan access type of thing. And I really liked her, and she gave me a VHS tape, and she told me she was a pro wrestler. I watched it. I thought she was good. I helped her with her tryouts and everything. But we never, hung out on the indies. And really, I had left the WWE about the time that she had started. So we never really worked together. But during the time that she was trying to make it, I knew she was going to be good. And so I did my best to try to help her at least put her best foot forward, even though she already had the talent, and she might have made it regardless of me. But I just saw something special in her, and so, like I said, we didn't really hang out a bunch, but I just knew that she was super talented and that she deserved to be a women's champion.
Okay. Now, also, I was watching a video on YouTube on Gorgeous George, and she mentioned you in the video. Now, have you ever worked with Gorgeous George or had any experience with her?
Well, it was actually because of Gorgeous George that I got my big break in WCW. She asked Macho Man if I could be a part of their entourage on television, and he said yes. So I taught her the wrestling moves that helped her in her match against Charles Robinson at one of the WCW pay-per-views. And even though she's wild and crazy, I really enjoyed her friendship and working with her.
Okay. Now, also here's another question. I was also watching on YouTube as well about Substance Church. I was doing some research on you and your career since I know I'll be coming out here. I know personally I'm a Christian myself, and I have a strong belief in Jesus Christ and growing in my spirituality every day. Now, I saw you were talking about going to Substance Church. Now, could you tell the fans what faith you identify with and how does it affect your role being in the wrestling business?
Yeah, so I'm super into Jesus. I guess that's my affiliation, is that I'm a believer in Jesus Christ. As far as my church style, it's not super traditional, but we go to the Bible for truth, and we believe in God's love and forgiveness, and yeah, so that's I'm kind of disassociated from the wrestling tribe these days, and I definitely feel like my tribe is with other believers in Christ that want to make the world a better place, that want to steward the gifts that God has given us, the way that God has poured love onto us, we want to pour love onto others. And so any group of people that love the Lord and really want to share that love by really loving our neighbors. Like, that's my tribe, and like who I love, who like energizes me now, I guess.
Because I know, like, especially in the last 6 months, I'm actually in recovery from alcoholism, and that's what actually one thing that that led me to my high spiritual awakening like I have. And I know, like, I feel my spirituality is stronger than ever, and it's just important that how Jesus Christ played a role in my life, and it's just very encouraging to know the same for you too, that the Lord is out there and how powerful God is, and like God could do anything at any time, and God could has a plan for everybody in His life. Now, do you have anything else you'd like to add at all, or?
I think that about. So, you know, I'm 40 years old. I wrestled full time for 6 years, and I have no injuries. Like nothing. Like I've had 30 concussions, but I feel like I function pretty well. I run a clinic, a natural health care clinic, and I have like good relationships, and I feel well rested, and you know, like my life is super good, and so I don't think that I have any long-term damage from concussions. And as far as my joints and back and everything, I thought I had hip pain for 15 years. And I thought, well, I have permanent damage. This is just from being a heavy gymnast, a competitive power lifter, and a pro wrestler. But it turned out that if you eat clean, a non-inflammatory diet, and get good sleep, and stay away from toxins like alcohol, tobacco, recreational drug use, your body actually heals itself super quickly and reduces inflammation. You're fine. I mean, I legitimately took Advil every single day for 15 years because of hip pain. And then I took out inflammatory foods, and my hip pain totally resolved. And I think there are so many broken down wrestlers who say like, oh, wrestling just wrecked my body. And it's like, well, no, you're wrecking your body yourself, because you're taking recreational drugs, you're eating garbage food, and a lot of health foods that are prepackaged at your GNC or whatever. Your body has to process all those, your kidneys, your liver, all that stuff has to be processed out. So anyway, it's causing inflammation. So I really believe that if you do all of these maneuvers well, and you take good care of your body by getting good nutrition and good sleep, your body should be able to recover from what you do in here. I know that it is like every match is like being in a car, like 30 car accidents, because you are jarring your body. But I think the body is super resilient, and it will heal itself. You just have to take the responsibility to nourish it well. That's just my theory. Like I said, just because I say it, you know, there might be lots of people who disagree. And I think a lot of people like to play the victim. They don't want to take responsibility. But I will say that my matches were at most 12 minutes long. And some of those guys, like, they took more chair shots. They did more ladder matches, more, you know. So there are a few performers who really did more dangerous things. But if you're just doing matches, telling the story of good versus evil, a bump, no matter from what height, if you're doing it properly, it should not cause long-term damage, in my opinion. So, like I said, take it with a grain of salt. You know, one of the keys, or something that every like excellent wrestler has, and it's the ability to memorize choreography, but also call things on the fly. But to be honest, at the elite level, Sasha Banks is a perfect example. We had a 30-woman battle royal. Was there 30 of us, I think, at the battle royal just in January? Was it in January? Yeah. I was like, it seems like a lifetime ago. But yeah, so just recently, and Sasha Banks was in there for 45 minutes, took everybody's finishing move, and had to remember the choreography of every interaction that she had. And that's extraordinary. And there was an actor that filmed that WCW movie. Chris Canyon was in it. Ready to Rumble. The main actor, the main bad guy in that movie that was not a wrestler but like an actual actor, he said the good actors never forget their lines. And I think that that's true for pro wrestling. Like, really skilled wrestlers know what the choreography is, and they just don't forget it. So as far as calling things in the ring, on a televised event, that should only happen if something goes terribly wrong. Like if somebody gets hurt or something. But I would say 95% of my televised matches, we didn't have to communicate because everyone was at that level where they just knew what was happening next. Now, on a smaller scale, like on the indies, where maybe not everyone has that practice of memorizing long sequences, you do have to communicate verbally, and sometimes I've utilized...
Another amazing Top Rope TV memory that we had this past year was when Marvelous Mike Dalton interviewed Prince Shongo himself from CCW.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Top Rope TV's segment I like to call the Shoot. Tonight I got a man who's evil, sadistic, out of his mind, and crazy. I'm talking about, he represents the stable called Pestilence. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Prince Shongo. Tonight, you get to rip up the carpet, you get to say whatever the fuck you want. It's uncensored, unfiltered, burn this house down, say whatever on your mind.
You know what's on my mind? I tell you, you know what's on my mind? It's all the weak-minded people who seem to think that they can just walk into my ring and do whatever it is the hell that they want to do. It doesn't work that way. There's a toll that must be paid. We all have a price. As one man used to always say, well, your price is your soul. I am the Prince of Purgatory. I am the Destroyer. And in the end, they all get marked.
Okay, folks, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode and the stroll down memory lane that we had of Top Rope TV memories over the past year in 2018. We had definitely some good times, and only the best will become in 2019. So, without further ado, before we kick off this show, let's end with a brief, short segment. Wow, that was it. That was short. Thanks, Ian, for another exciting short segment. But our time is up. I hope you guys enjoyed the memories of Top Rope TV from this past year. So, to all you guys watching, Happy New Year, and join us for Top Rope TV in 2019, as we got some amazing things to come with both Top Rope TV, Top Rope Radio, and Top Rope Wrestling. So, just keep tuned in, hit the bell, hit the subscribe button, and keep your wrestling in a headlock. And tune in for Top Rope TV in the new year. Peace.